Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into the crowdfunding giant Kickstarter, where a pretty big chunk of the staff is actually on strike. We're going to break down exactly what's at stake here. So for a couple of weeks now, there's been a real standoff brewing at Kickstarter's main office. We're talking dozens of employees who have walked right off the job, formed a picket line, and decided to take their dispute with management public. And when we say dozens, we mean about 60 unionized workers, just in the US. Now, that's a really significant part of the company's tech and support staff. So these are the folks who are now out on the picket line instead of at their desks. Okay, so why? How did this escalate into a full-blown strike? Well, after months and months of negotiations, the whole conflict now really boils down to two key demands from the union that just haven't been resolved. And here they are. The two big sticking points are one, protecting the company's current 4-day, 32-hour work week, and two, setting up a new minimum salary that the union feels is a truly livable wage. Let's dig into the work week first. So, this first major point of conflict, it taps into a huge topic in the tech world and really everywhere else, the very structure of when we work and for how long we're expected to work. And here's the heart of the disagreement, plain and simple. The union, they're called Kickstarter United, they want to lock in the current 4-day week, make it a permanent, guaranteed part of their contract. But management, they're pushing back. They want to keep the option, the flexibility, to go back to a traditional 5-day, 40-hour week if they choose to down the line. For the employees, this is not just some nice little perk. As the union themselves put it, that 4-day work week is the reason many agreed to join Kickstarter in the first place. So in their eyes, it's a fundamental piece of their compensation package. All right, now for the second major issue, and yeah, it's a big one, money. More specifically, what should the absolute minimum salary be for a union member at Kickstarter? The number at the very center of this whole debate is $85,000. The union is proposing this is a new wage floor. What that means is that no union employee at the company would make a penny less than this amount every single year. So where did they even get that $85,000 number? Well, it wasn't just pulled out of thin air. It's actually tied directly to New York City's official low-income threshold for 2024, which, as you can see, is just over $87,000. So the union is essentially arguing for a salary that would officially keep them out of what the city itself defines as the low-income bracket. And we're not just talking about one single department here. This strike involves people from a whole range of roles. You got software engineers, marketing professionals, and also the absolute frontline staff in community support and trust and safety. So how did we even get here? A strike like this, it doesn't just happen overnight. If you look at the timeline, you can see this dispute has been building for months. So check this out. Bargaining for this new contract actually kicked off way back in April. Then the old agreement expired in July, and months went by with no new deal. So finally, on October 2nd, the union officially went on strike. A little later, they held a big rally to try and get more public attention on their fight. And all of that brings us right up to today. The picket line is active, and these really fundamental questions about the future of work at Kickstarter, and honestly, maybe at other companies too, are still totally up in the air. And here's a crucial point, at least from the union's perspective. They say there's been a complete stalemate on wages. Their claim is that management has flat out rejected every single proposal for a minimum salary, which leaves no obvious path to a compromise on that issue. And look, this is exactly why this whole dispute matters so much. Even if you've never used Kickstarter, it taps into this much bigger conversation that, let's be honest, we're all having about work. Is a 4-day week a temporary perk, or is it the new standard? What does a livable wage actually mean in a super expensive city? This strike really forces us to ask a tough question. As our whole idea of work changes, what does a fair contract even look like anymore?